this music so I can't get sued. Chicken carrot. Hey everybody, old Crow Dog here. Yeah, no one cares. So, even though the game's been out for almost a month, I've been noticing a lot of people have been asking comments and questions and also sending me messages asking about smithing and enchanting on Skyrim. So I figured I'd do a quick little tutorial here on how this works so people can get their head wrapped around it a little bit more. Maybe there are some other tutorials out there, maybe there aren't. I've seen some trying to answer some other people's questions. So I figured I'd try to do one that's a little more streamlined, kind of let you see everything from the beginning to the end. What you're focusing on here, obviously, are your skills up here. And then one is going to be smithing. Now, obviously, my smithing is already at 100. But for the purposes of the tutorial, the basics are still the same. You are still advancing the skills using, you know, making things. And that's how you do it. The smithing has some perks. As you can see here, I have my, I got the steel smithing. And every time you get a perk for some of the, for smithing, you can improve the products more. Very important thing to do is to get this arcane blacksmith, which allows you to improve magical armor, stuff that you have either enchanted or have picked up that was enchanted. The only other way to improve it, if you don't have this, is to improve it prior to enchanting it. Like you'd make the armor, then you'd improve it to increase its durability. You know, whether it's strength of armor or power of the weapon, and then you'd go enchant it afterwards. But then, you know, after that, you can't really improve it anymore. Especially if you find something that's really cool. As you can see, I went the heavy armor route because I wanted to be able to wear heavy armor. For those who want to do light armor, they'd be coming this way, getting into the elven and then the advanced and then the glass. So I don't even know why I grabbed the elven. I'm retarded. So here is the whole view of it. Now this is the enchanting. As you can see, I've already gotten 4 of the 5 perks to make my enchantments stronger. One more and they're 100% stronger. So my numbers are going to be a little more exaggerated than newer people will see, but again, the basic concept for the tutorial is the same. It's very important that I think if you're going to be doing enchanting, that you work your way to do this so that enchantments on armor, say, are stronger, because a lot of the times that's what you're doing. You want to make your enchant your armor to give it better benefits. And then heading up here to get this extra effect where you can put 2 enchantments on the same item. But you know, that's for later. Right now we're just going to start at the beginning. So I'm in Dragon's Reach right now, which is the first real major city that people are going to run into. Typically, the first city you see is Riverwood when you after you start the intro level, and you come up here to Whiterun. And inside of Whiterun, at the very top is Dragon's Reach, where the Jarl is. You come in this door, and the Jarl is here, and to the right, he has his mage. The reason why this is important is right over here, he has the Arcane Enchanter. This is where you do all your enchanting. This is where you learn enchantments, and where you do them yourselves. In order to learn an enchantment, you have to have a piece of armor or weapon, it doesn't really matter, anything that's enchanted, that you don't know the enchantment yet. And what you would do is you'd go use the enchanter, and as you can see here in disenchant, I know all these other ones, so they're grayed out, but I don't know this one. Okay, see, it says increases the light armor skill by 12 points. So what would happen is, if I click the button right now, I would learn the enchantment of this product. The problem, though, is when you learn the enchantment, you also destroy the piece of armor or weapon or whatever it is that you are using. There's a plus and a minus side to that. The plus side, obviously, is that you learn it, and you can later on make something that's even better because you have that enchantment. In the beginning levels, I don't recommend breaking down something that has a really good enchantment that you can use, because you can't make it better yet. But at the point where you can make it better, anytime you get a chance, you should tear apart the enchantment. So as you can see, my enchanting is 78 to 79. I'm going to tear it apart, and you can see I'll get a little bit of a level progress with it. Boom, you see that it jumped up just a little bit. So now I learned the fortified light armor enchantment. So that is the way how you learn the enchantments. There's really no other way to do it. You you have to grab something that's enchanted, bring it to an arcane enchanter, and tear it down. A lot of dungeons, you'll find these in there. Very important. You might find some really nifty enchanted armors in dungeons, and you find one of these, and that way you don't have to carry it around. You can unenchant it there, learn the enchantment, get the level progress, and not have to carry it around. So now that we have that, we're going to skip on over to the smithing and then come back to this. The reason why I want to do that is you learned how to start the enchantment process, but now we need something to enchant. So let's go ahead and move on over to smithing. I'm going to edit out my travel. I'm going to head right outside the city to where the armor lady is at. Okay, so here I am at the very front entrance of Dragon's Reach, right in front of the main gate. As soon as you come in, there's a store right here. It's called War Maidens. Now, as you can see right over here, she has all the things here for smithing. They have these in Riverwood, but, you know, again, this is a bigger city with a lot more utensils for you to use. They have, you know, the arcane enchanter up there, and then more stores to buy things from. Plus, they have the smelter. When you come up to a blacksmith forge, you engage it by hitting whatever button it is, depending on what you're playing. And it gives you the list of all the things you can make. Your list will not be as extensive as mine because I have everything unlocked. You typically have like hide, iron, and studded, maybe some imperial over here. So what we'll do is we'll start with the basics, hide. Now you can see here if I go to like hide armor or hide braces or hide helmet. It tells you what you need. You need leathers, 2 leather, requires there at the bottom right, 2 leather strips and 1 leather. For the boots, 2 leather strips, 2 leather. For a helmet, leather strip, 2 leathers. So this is everything you need. What we're going to do is we're going to make the bracers because they are, or excuse me, the helmet because it's cheapest to make because it requires 1 strip, 2 leathers. Now we know what we need, but how do we achieve these things aside from purchasing them? First things first, you go outside and you can kill wolves, even horses, deer, elk. All these things you kill and you take their hides. And when you get their hides and pelts, you bring them back here. And this is a tanning rack. And then you engage the tanning rack. And when you go in there, it says miscellaneous. And as you can see here, whatever you have, it tells you what you can make. I have 2 wolf pelts. So that tells me I can make a leather with a wolf pelt. It requires 1. So if I use both of my wolf pelts, there's 1 leather I just got. And it says up in the upper left-hand corner, I now have 1 leather. If I use the other one, now I have 2 leathers. Now, leather strip. Now I can make 3 leathers here with 1 horse hide. There's saber-tooth pelts that'll let you have, like, 4 leathers. So with 1 horse hide that I have in my inventory, from killing a horse and taking it off his body, I can make 3 leathers with 1 horse hide. So now, the 2 and then these 3, I have 5. There's our math lesson for the day. Now, leather strips. With 1 leather, I can make 4 leather strips, as you can see there. So I'm going to go ahead and make 4 leather strips. Boom. So now I've used up 1 of my leathers and made 4 leather strips. So if I come back over here to the forge, if you go to the hide, you can see things are no longer blacked out. Now it's highlighted that I can make these things. So here I am. I'm going to go ahead and make a hide helmet. It's going to use up 1 of my leather strips and 2 of my leathers. And there we go. I just made it. So now in my inventory, I have, if I go to apparel, a hide helmet. And there it is. I just made it. Quality grill product right there. Made by a little Mexican kid in Camargo.
Got some good pieces.
So I can go ahead and take this now to the enchanter and try to enchant it. But we're going to do something else. We're going to go with a couple different things. And we're going to go here to iron, and we want to make an iron dagger. I want to make a weapon. Now, I have the 3 leather strips, but I don't have an iron ingot to make it. So how am I going to get an iron ingot? Again, short of finding or purchasing one, you come over here to the smelter. What the smelter does is the same thing that the spell transmute does. It takes ores that you have and makes them into ingots. And all this here tells you what you need to make all these ingots. Like, see, to make 5 dwarven metal ingots, I need a piece of solid dwemer metal. Ebony ingot, I need 2 ebony ores. Gold ingot, 2 gold ores. For an iron ingot, I need 1 iron ore. And as you can see, I have 2 in my inventory. So I'm going to go ahead and create that, and now I have 2 iron ingots in my inventory. We'll go ahead and show you. Go to miscellaneous, and there they are. 2 iron ingots. So we head back on over here to the forge. which are also found in dungeons. And we're going to head over to the iron. As you can see here, I can make an iron dagger now. I can make iron gauntlets. I could make an iron sword, whatever I want to do. But we're going to make the iron dagger because it's the cheapest to make. Okay. So now I have an iron dagger and a hide helmet that I want to enchant. So what you want to do now is you want to head back up to Dragon's Reach to go use the enchanter. I'll cut out the travel. So we're back at our enchanter here. We're going to go ahead and use that. So this is where a lot of people get thrown off on the enchanting. And I'm not sure why, but here we go. I'm going to pick that hide helmet. I want to enchant this item, so I'm going to pick it. You can see now I have it selected. And then I want to pick the enchantment. Again, for the purposes of the tutorial, we're just going to pick whatever. Now, if you look at here, the basic enchantment that I learned for this one is, if I have Fortify, say, I'll do Destruction Magic. Actually, we'll go to Magicka, because a lot of people use this. The one I learned was increase your Magicka by 50 points. Okay. So, if I click that, I know that I can increase my Magicka by 20 points. But you noticed that when I clicked it, it jumped up to 51 points. This is because of the perks that I have. Now, yours might actually say 20, or it might drop down below. The third stage is you have to use a soul gem. These are the major types of soul gems that you're going to run into. There's grand soul gems, and this is filled with the grand soul. You notice it in there, it says filled. Greater with a greater, common with a common, lesser, and so on. There's also black soul gems and Azura, but we won't get into those. So, the lesser of a gem that you use, the less of enchantment you're going to do. Like if I click on this, you notice, see, my magic is only going to increase by 4 points because I'm using the lowest possible gem. But if I go to a lesser, you see it jumps up to 8, common up to 17, greater to 34, and if I use a grand soul, it takes it to the highest that I can possibly do my enchantment based on my skill level. So this is the real secret behind it, and it isn't really a secret. It's all about the grand soul gems. Now, this is something that you need to take note, because if you don't like the enchantment afterwards, you can't really do anything about it, short of sell it. If you have money all the time, it's not that big of a deal. You can get more grand soul gems, you can farm more, or buy the equipment, or make it, or whatever, and then try again. But at the beginning stages, when you're learning how to enchant and getting these things, and you're just trying to make, you know, you're practicing on things, or you can't really afford certain things, common and greater are the best way to go, because you'll still get some benefits out of them. But if you're just doing things for skill ups to increase your enchantment skill, I'd say always use petty and lesser, because they're the cheapest. It doesn't matter what kind of enchantment you do or how much, they have they give you the same amount of skill up, and it's all level dependent. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go off of the hide helmet, and we're going to go over to the dagger. And the reason we're going to do that is because the weapons are a little bit different when you are doing the enchantments. Because some of these things have ways that they can sap things from the enemy, or inflict extra damage. For instance, here we're going to go to absorb health. It says absorb 8 points of health. Now, if I click it because of my perks, you can see 16. Now this little scroll bar comes up right here. You see this? This is how much points of health you want to take away. The more points of health you want to take away per strike, the less you can use it. As you can see, I can use it 60 times. If I want to take 15 points, 64. If I want to take 14, 69, so on and so forth, depending on just how powerful you want to make this. If you only want to take 5 points of health with this dagger every strike, you can use it 216 times, but you're not going to get the same amount of production out of it. So we'll go all the way up to 16 points, 60 charges. Alright, now we know. And if we go to the soul gem, again, the petty, alright, there it is. But if we go up to the grand, as you can see, we get, it's fully charged all the way up when we craft it, and the value is through the roof. See that? If I do it with these, it's not charged up all the way. And that's it's pretty simple. Those are the simple basics to enchanting. And we're going to show you one last thing just to kind of, round this out. We're going to head back to the blacksmith forge so you can check out one last thing, and that's improving weapons and armor. So we're back at the forge, And here are the two things that you can use for improving your weapons and armor. If you want to improve your armor, you always want to use a workbench. Now, all this is if you have the necessary perk, you can use a piece of material, and you can see I have my hide helmet here. In order to improve it, as you can see, it says I need a leather. Then when you click on it, you can improve it better. See, it tells me I can go all the way up to flawless. There's different levels. There's like superior, there's epic, there's flawless, there's legendary. There's all these things, all these levels come with your smithing as you level up and get the perks, the necessary perks for improving better. And as you can see, that jumps up the quality of your weapons and armor. It goes from 14 armor to 23. So sometimes you can get away with not having to get new armor because you can just improve your existing armor and you'll be in good shape. As you can see, I got this other one here. It's magical, and I can improve it because I have the necessary perk from 16 to 25. And another thing you should note is when you craft these things, you can, or when you, I forgot to mention earlier, when you enchant things, you can name the armor whatever you want. As you can see, my boots here are called shit kickers. And then my armor is the Team Z Protector. So you can name them and take pictures with your phone or something and send them to friends that don't know any better. Like, whoa, it's named that. You know, let's say your name is Jose, and it's Jose's armor. They'll be like, oh my god, I can't believe you found something named Jose's armor. I don't know if your friends talk like that. You know, if they do, I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of them. They just, you know, someone cut their balls off. Now, the grindstone is for improving your weapons. As you can see here, this iron dagger has a damage of 12. If I use an iron ingot, take it up to flawless, bam, 31. So it's a lot stronger, and if it was enchanted, that would make it even more deadly with the, you know, absorbing health. Now it's even more effective. So this is an important thing involved in making your weapons, so always keep that in mind. You can see here with this ebony sword I still don't have it up all the way, and that's only because I know I'm going to get a Daedric sword after this, so there's no point in me doing that. So there you go. These are the basics from beginning to end on smithing and enchanting. You really don't need to learn much else. I will add that there are potions out there that you can take that will fortify your smithing and your enchanting that you can take beforehand that will make whatever you enchant and smith better. And then as you learn the enchantments to fortify smithing and fortify enchanting, you can fortify certain pieces of clothes. You can just go get hats, boots, apron, and stuff, and rings, and put on entire sets of stuff to fortify. You know, obviously, it's not all going to be the same. You know, you can't get an entire matching set of fortify smithing, but you can put on all these things to help you make better product when you're doing it. And at the beginning, you can use potions. You know, whatever helps you smith better. And I will add another quick note on, I've seen some guides out there where people are told to come to the forge and power level their smithing in the earlier levels by coming in here and getting a bunch of leather and making leather bracers, because they just take 2 leather and 2 leather strips, making a whole bunch of them, or even using making a whole bunch of hide bracers and hide strips. And also doing the same thing with iron daggers, coming in here with a bunch of iron and leather strips and making a whole bunch of them just to power level their smithing to 100 real fast. I would like to say that on a personal note, if you don't want to hear this, fine, you can close the video. Try not to do this. Try to stay away from this. If you want to power level your smithing, do it in smaller increments. Maybe 5 levels, 6 levels, 8 levels, 10 at the most. Don't do it with that many, because in the lower levels, if you're raising, every time you're improving that skill, you are raising your overall level more and more and more and more. And the problem with that is, since you're over here getting all these levels, your combat skills are taking a hit. You're not leveling up your ability to fight properly. So you might get to dungeons, quests, levels, monsters, whatever, that are level scaled to what you leveled up to, and they kick the shit out of you because you got really good stuff that you can make, but you can't take a hit or deal out a death blow for the life of you. So try to keep that in mind when you're leveling these things up. Try to do it in spurts. Try to keep it, within the lines to know that you're still advancing your character, and not going into a place where, for all intents and purposes, you should have been able to take out a boss or a priest or whoever was in there, and he keeps killing you and you can't figure out why. Well, chances are you might be leveled for the dungeon, but your skills are incredibly under-leveled for it because you power leveled something else, whether it was enchanting, alchemy, or whatever. So there you go. I hope this guide or this tutorial was useful. You know, if not, if nothing else, you got to hear me talk non-stop forever, and hear me make fun of your friends that talk like this. Hope you enjoyed.